This Vauxhall Astra was heading for the scrapyard. Well, that's until I bought it. And I think it's safe to say it's definitely seen better days.
But I guess all of that doesn't matter when I only paid £150 for this Vauxhall Astra. It's not the best condition, but for the money I paid, it is spot on for what I need. And I'm hoping we can get it fixed. It's a little bit rough on the outside, but the engine also has its fair share of problems.
There's a horrible noise coming from the engine. That doesn't sound great. We've got our engine management light on, and I still haven't been able to diagnose exactly what is wrong with this engine. So hopefully in this video we can find out.
She might be a little bit rough around the edges, but I think she deserves a second chance. Last video we diagnosed that the engine light on the dashboard was down to a faulty O2 sensor. But that wasn't the only issue.
It smells awful.
Luckily, the smell was just some unburnt oil that had been on the exhaust manifold. But with the suspected blown head gasket on this car, I wanted to do a few tests. So I got this tool here from eBay that I then got told wasn't worth the plastic that it was made out of. But either way, we ran the car up to temperature just to see what it would do. And to my surprise, the liquid stayed blue. So I guess we're going to have to carry on and find out.
And I think a good place to start is with this oil leak. A massive thank you to everyone that showed love on the reveal video of this car, and also to those people that tried helping me diagnose it in the comments. I know a lot of you guys were mentioning about the oil cooler, but this being the 1.4 SRI, these don't actually have an oil cooler behind the manifold. I have ordered a load of parts to get started on fixing and hopefully getting to the bottom of what's wrong with this engine, but with today being the 1st of January, I can't pick them up until tomorrow.
I'm really hoping we can bring this little engine back to life, but we did find some of this kind of mayonnaise looking liquid on the bottom of the oil cap.
Now, even though we've got this horrible mayo gunk on the oil cap, it doesn't necessarily mean that the head gasket has gone. That could just be down to condensation. And one of you keen-eyed viewers actually noticed that on the MOT history, this car only did about 6,000 miles in one of them years. So it's obviously been driven on short journeys, and that could easily be the reason of why we've got this horrible goo. But I think we should start off by taking off this breather hose and just seeing what it's like inside of here, because I know if it's coming out of the rocker cover, it'll go into the breather back into the intake.
So I better get to work of diagnosing this car. And although this car isn't in the best condition, luckily Vauxhalls are quite easy to work on.
Well, that actually doesn't look too bad in there. It's pretty clean. I don't know whether it's been cleaned prior to me just taking it off then, but my Corsa's one, which didn't have no other signs of head gasket, was actually a lot worse than that. So that's kind of gave me a little bit of hope that it may not be as bad as we think. Well, I'm going to pick up a new rocker cover gasket tomorrow, so I think we might as well just take this rocker cover off and see what it's actually like underneath here. If it's really bad, then that still could be a sign of head gasket, but it's not too bad. I think we've got a cheap repair here. Now, one thing I need to do before we carry on is get some food down me. So instead of ordering a takeaway, you should probably check out Y Food. Now, although this isn't a diet drink and it isn't a protein drink, it is a complete meal replacement. So instead of me ordering food, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy my favourite flavour of Y Food, which is the cold brew coffee. But don't worry, they come in many other flavours.
And if you're struggling to decide which one your favourite is, well, you can check out their taster pack. Did I also mention there's no added sugar, they're lactose free and also gluten free?
What's that? You're a vegan? Well, don't worry, Y Food offer a vegan range as well in some of the best flavours. And just like that, I have had a full nutritious meal. But don't worry, I have got another one waiting for later. If you live a busy lifestyle like me and find it hard to fit in good meals, then you need to check out Y Food. I've got a discount for everyone to use, which will be on screen now, Jesse-YouTube, that is Jesse-YouTube. Order yourself some Y Food, check out all the flavours, find your favourite and tell me what you think down below. And a massive thank you to Y Food for sponsoring this video. Let's carry on with this thing.
There's a few bolts on top to get the rocker cover off, then it's a matter of unplugging the plastic wiring cover, taking the coil pack out and the rocker cover will come straight off.
Okay, moment of truth. Ugh.
It's not looking great, but this also doesn't 100% mean that the head gasket has blown. This sludge does form from when the car does short journeys, so I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed.
Now, you're probably thinking that that is really, really bad, and although it isn't great, I've noticed one thing, that all kind of the gunk is stuck to the top of the rocker cover where the condensation would normally just sit. So it still could be just condensation and not head gasket. In the actual engine, I can't really see much sludge. Yeah, it doesn't actually look too bad in here, to be fair. Bearing in mind, the Corsa that I had this exact same engine, and it was probably as bad as this rocker cover. The reason for that being is because I used to work probably a mile down the road, and that's all the car ever did. It was turned on in the morning, drove a mile, and then turned off for the rest of the day, and then drove back home a mile. So this doesn't actually mean that it's head gasket, but one thing I want to test is this timing chain.
And after turning the car on in last video, it was making a horrible sound, and a lot of you guys seem to think that that could be down to the timing chain, so I really want to check it out.
You can pretty much see that that chain isn't as tight as I hoped, but I'm no mechanic, so I'm not sure whether that is okay and I'm just being a little bit paranoid about it, or if that does need to be tighter, because obviously when that's going round at God knows how many RPM, that is going to be making a noise. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you think that chain is going to need redoing. Well, engine wise, that's about all we can do for today until I can go and pick the parts up. I've got a brand new oil filter, brand new oil. I have ordered one of them O2 sensors so we can get the engine light off the dashboard, but so far I'm pretty happy with how this car's going.
I also decided to check the oil, because if there's sludge at the bottom, then that could be an indicator that the head gasket is gone. But as you can see, the oil looks pretty perfect, and it doesn't even look that old. There's no sludge whatsoever at the bottom, and just to make sure, I did dip it twice. So this could be a really good sign.
Do you know what? The more I work on this car, the more I'm hopeful that we've got a cheap repair on our hands. I'm actually hopeful that the head gasket hasn't gone. What's wrong with it, I'm yet to find out, but I guess we'll pick the video back up in the morning when I can go get the parts.
And for those wondering where I get all of my car parts from, well, it's here in Belper, and it's called Motorstop. These guys are absolute legends.
And this is what we've been given. Now I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to Motorstop in Belper for supplying all the parts to hopefully get this Astra back on the road. I can actually kneel down in peace now. Motorstop are located in Belper and the big massive supporters of the channel. They just help me out in sourcing all the parts for all these videos to keep the cars on the move and keep the videos being pumped out. So they've really hooked me out, so if you guys could go and check them out down in the description below, it'd be much appreciated. He's a friend of mine, not just like a business kind of partner, so if you could check them out, that would be massively appreciated. Let me show you what we've got. We've got some oil, because this bad boy is going to need an oil change, hopefully this engine's not kaput. We've also got the rocker cover gasket, which is the main thing I'm currently needing. We've got some gloves so I can actually use my camera after I've worked on the car instead of getting everything dirty. We also have an oil filter. We've got a calendar for the new year, 4 brand new NGK spark plugs, which is something we're definitely going to be needing for this car. We've got some engine flush, which Matt actually recommended that this is a good thing to do with this car, obviously just to flush the whole engine out. And then we've got a sump plug, and also this should be the O2 sensor. Let's fix this car. Now before we carry on with the engine side of things, because I've got to do that a different way, now we've got the flush, what I'm going to do is quickly get the engine light off the dashboard using this brand new O2 sensor. So we'll jack the car up, get underneath, replace that O2 sensor, clear it off the system, and hopefully that has solved at least one of the problems for this car.
And for this, I get to use my brand new car jack. Shout out to Georgia for the Christmas present.
Well, thank you to my dad, because I couldn't find my 22mm spanner. The new O2 sensor is now in. So once I've got all the engine kind of back together, the rocker cover, etc., we can clear that code and see if it actually has fixed it. So fingers crossed that has fixed one of the major issues with this car. But I guess the next step is to get this rocker cover all cleaned up and get the new rocker cover gasket back in, put the engine back together, and then do a complete oil change, spark plug change, filter, and everything that goes with it, to at least give this engine the best hope of surviving. If it is the timing chain that ends up being the problem with this car and that is what it needs doing, then don't worry, I've got a Haynes manual. I'm going to probably just give it a go myself. If I never give it a go, I'll never actually learn how to do it. And the engine for one of these is about 250 quid. I already got the car cheap, so I guess if it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world.
Now all I'm going to do is just get the rocker cover as clean as I can possibly get it, and then before I put it on, I'm just going to quickly change all 4 spark plugs so we've got some fresh brand new NGK ones. Now it's time to put the new gasket on and put the rocker cover back on the top of the engine. Hopefully this has sorted the rocker cover leak.
Progress is being made. That is the rocker cover gasket changed. We've also changed the spark plugs. So the only thing left to do is turn the car on and see if it starts and see if there's an engine light on the dashboard. We've also underneath changed the O2 sensor, so if it hasn't cleared off the dashboard, then I can clear it with the scan tool. But the only thing left to do is turn it on, see if it runs a little bit better with them spark plugs, and then it's time to do an engine flush. That is way quieter. Oh my god. What? Right, I'm not sure why, but you can definitely hear on camera how much quieter the engine's running. There's a little bit of belt squeal, but the actual engine seems to be running sweet. I don't get why, because I've not actually done anything except the O2 sensor, which we still do have an engine light on the dashboard, but let me... So that... Okay, I'm actually really confused as to why the engine sounds like it's running really good now. I guess all we can do for now is clear that engine light on the dashboard, and then we will do the flush on the engine, let it sit and tick over. I've found the reason as to why the battery keeps going low. That is because for some reason the boot mechanism, like motor, keeps popping the boot open, so all the lights end up turning on in the middle of the night in the car, and the battery then drains. So that is obviously something that I'm going to have to sort. I'll get a spare motor either from eBay or Scrapyard or somewhere, but for now the engine actually sounds really healthy. There's no timing chain rattle, nothing, so we might be onto a winner here, boys.
Now bear in mind, I am no mechanic, I am just trying as I go. But I guess we should clear this engine code, and hopefully that will stay away when we eventually are able to drive this car. All it was just an O2 sensor. We've replaced that, so I'm going to go ahead and clear that on the dashboard, and hopefully that has sorted the problem.
So the only fault code we do have is the oxygen heater circuit bank 1 sensor 2, which is the sensor that we have changed. So I'm hoping when we get rid of this code, it should, which it has, turn that light off on the dashboard. Now we hopefully have 0 fault codes on this car, and hopefully none of them will come back. Let's do an engine flush. Come on, we're actually getting there with this car. I've got high hopes for it, bless her.
I probably shouldn't speak too soon, but let's give this engine a good flush. All you've got to do with this stuff is pour it down the oil cap where you'd normally pour the oil, let the engine sit and idle for about 10 to 15 minutes, and what it should do is break down all the gunk and horrible bits that have been building up in your engine for all them years, and hopefully it should just wash it all out of the sump plug.
Well, I'm not sure if it was the flush, but the engine's smoking like a good one, and all down the back here it was smoking as well, so I'm not sure. It kind of got progressively worse, the noise coming from the engine, so I guess we'll do this flush, change the oil, and just see, just cross our fingers, I guess. Oh no, I've just found something and it is not good at all. So obviously we cleaned all the rocker cover, and I made sure I cleaned under the oil cap, and just from running it then, Look how much gunk is on that oil cap. That could easily be the head gasket now.
Now, like I say, I am no expert and I am no qualified mechanic, so I'm not sure whether this is 100% the head gasket or if I'm still trying to believe that it is still condensation mixed with all the engine flush that we've just poured in. I'm just not sure at this point.
I know a lot of people might be screaming at me through the camera saying it's definitely the head gasket, but I'm just going to let the car idle again and just see if that mayonnaise stuff comes back on the oil cap. If it is the head gasket, that is what I knew when I bought the car, so I don't mind at all. But if I can avoid having to do the head gasket and diagnosing another problem, then I'd just rather know what it is. So we'll let it idle and I'll show you the result.
Well, this is the test. I've let it sat again for another 10 minutes, so I guess we'll check if there's any more mayo.
I've been sat in the car for about another 10-15 minutes. Let's have a look. Again, even more gunk. Oh, it's not looking good. It is not looking good.
I'm not sure what it is, but at this point we might as well at least change the oil.
It's not looking too good either. There's just oil absolutely everywhere. I do think that is from the rocker cover gasket though, and that is a problem that is now fixed. But I guess all we can do is just at least flush all this oil out. I know it is going to be hot, but I kind of want it to just all come out as one. So we'll get this oil flushed and run it again and just see if the engine, I don't know. I don't know. I actually don't know with this car. I'm not sure anymore.
I think this is going to be another one of those where I say you guys give me as much help as you can down in the comments below. What do you guys think is wrong with this car? I've just drained the oil and as you can see it comes out really thin thanks to the flush that we've used, but I'm still not convinced that this is going to solve our problem. And not only that, I've now got another problem. When I was trying to get the oil filter housing off, because they're plastic on these Vauxhalls, it just completely rounded, so I couldn't get it off.
Oh man, it's one thing after another. Now the oil filter housing is just spinning. It's completely rounded off. I've used the right tools, the right socket, and it's just spinning with it being plastic. So I'm going to fly to the scrapyard and fingers crossed they've got another housing, then I can just use the grips and just, well, break this one off, I guess. I don't know what I'm going to do to get that off, but we'll figure it out. Right, I need to keep my fingers crossed here because I know there's 5 of my engine codes at the scrapyard, but whether they have had the engines took out or not, I'm not sure. All we need is just that filter housing so we can carry on and start next video with being able to go and actually drive the car. So cross your fingers. I'm hoping that we can finish this video entirely. Today being Saturday, upload day being tomorrow. Yeah, everyone keep your fingers crossed. Right, we've found the faucet. I mean, there's a wheel in the engine bay, more than an engine. Oh, the oil filter's gone on that one. Look, down there, look, someone clearly had the same problem as me and took the oil filter. Is it the same? Oh, abandoned vehicle notice.
Oh.
It's just been left. Is it the same engine code? Z12 EXP, so that's the exact same engine, just a 1.2. I'm pretty sure they are the exact same oil filters, but if I can find one with the exact same engine code, I prefer to do that.
This is my local scrapyard and normally they have everything, but my luck being my luck, all the cars with the exact same engine code as mine, being the 1.4, have all had the oil filters taken. It just must be a common occurrence that they all round off when changing them if they're over tightened. But after endless looking, I came across another problem, and this was my fault.
There's a few more cars to look at, but one thing I've gone and forgot is my tools. I've gone and forgot my tools. So how the hell have I forgot my tools? I'm hoping either someone here or someone that works here could let me borrow their tools, but how have I done that? Come on, please. Oh my god, Oh, it has got one. It's got one.
And to add even more insult to injury, not one person at this scrapyard had a big enough socket to get the oil filter housing off. On the 1.2s, it's a 32mm socket, and no one had one.
Okay, so I've found the correct oil filter housing, but I forgot my tools, and no one had any tools that was currently at the scrapyard, so we had to quickly fly home, well, fly to my dad's. I've got a massive set of grips, a load of extensions, a load of sockets, just in case this oil filter housing doesn't come off, because I need it, because they're not open till Tuesday after today. When does it close?
20 minutes.
It closes in 20 minutes, and we're about 20 minutes away, so yeah, you need to get your foot down or something. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot my tools. I don't know how, but I made it. I made it.
But even though I made it, I'm not 100% sure that this housing is the right one.
We got there just in time, and then I took the oil filter housing off, went to pay, and he said it's minimum £5 on card. Ran back to the car. Georgia didn't have any cash, so I just said to him, mate, just charge me a £5 for it. He was only going to charge me £2, so I said, mate, just charge me a £5 for it. So we've got this, but this is from a Z12 XEP engine, which is the 1.2 version of the engine in the Astra. I'm pretty sure they're going to be the same. If not, I've only wasted a £5 and a bit of time and George's fuel. And we're just going to have to see if this works. I've still got to get the other oil filter off, so I don't know. We'll just see. Honestly, you could not make it up. After all that, they don't even fit. Like, that's the one that's just come off the car. That's the one that we went and got. And for some reason, they're meant to be they're meant to be the same size. For some reason, on the 1.4 engines compared to the 1.2s, Vauxhall decided to completely change the oil filter like housing size. Why, I don't actually know. It's just stupid. Why would you do? They're pretty much the same engine. I guess that is all we can do for now. I'm sorry we couldn't get the car to where I wanted it to be in this video, but I've run out of time, I've run out of daylight, and at least I can get a video up for you guys. The next video, we're going to be taking this car out on the road and actually driving it and seeing how we get on. So I guess I'm going to have to finish this off camera and just pray that this all goes to plan. I can't believe I've just spent the last hour running around to get that for it not to even fit. That is so frustrating. That is so frustrating. If you did like this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.
You wear a hat, they call dad. Me, I'm the dad in a hat. You just like clubbing and clothes. Me, I like afternoon naps. 3, I be missed for the road. My oldest like counting racks. My middle one, she's in a dirt bike. My youngest is just like a mama.